again, everyone. Welcome back to the Crafty Kitchen. Tonight I'm going to make something that we love to have. I stumbled across this recipe on Pinterest like I do so many, and after the first time we've had it, we have it probably every couple weeks now just because it's so good. The name of the dish is called Skinny Shrimp Scampi with Zucchini Noodles. So basically it's a shrimp scampi but on a lower carb version. So instead of using pasta, we're going to be using zucchini as our noodles. So for this recipe, what we're going to need is we need a pound of shrimp. We need parsley, garlic, 2 zucchinis. We're going to use some lemon juice, some crushed red pepper. It calls for olive oil, but I'm going to be using coconut oil. And then it also calls for 1/4 cup of white wine. And since we're on a truck, we don't want to have white wine or cooking wine on the truck. Even though it is for cooking, we're not drinking it, but we just don't want to take the chance. You know, our truck does get inspected a lot of the places that we go to pickups and deliveries. So, you know, we just don't want to take that chance with the white wine. So you can substitute for white wine chicken broth. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using chicken broth instead of white wine. And then I've got salt and pepper as well. So let's get everything. We're going to get our shrimp cleaned up. I'm going to spiral up our zucchini into noodles, and we'll get everything measured out and ready to go. I've got my zucchini here, and I've showed you all this in my Alfredo video. If you hadn't seen this, this is called a veggetti, and basically it's a spiraling tool that you can use with vegetables. You can use it with zucchini, squash, cucumbers, anything you can fit in here. It will spiral and make noodles for you. It has a thick side and a thin side, so you can choose if you want your noodles a little thicker or thinner. I always use the thin side. We like ours a little thinner, but this is a really cool tool. Walmart has them. A lot of places that have As Seen on TV has them. I think I got this at either like a TJ Maxx or Ross, something like that. So this is really handy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, of course, I've already washed my zucchini. I'm just gonna cut the ends off here, and then we're gonna spiral this up. Alright, so we've got pretty much everything prepared and ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my New Wave on. I'm going to put it on medium heat, which is about 275. We're going to get that heating up. And like I said, this calls for olive oil, but we're actually going to be using coconut oil. And it calls for 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to just use the same 2 tablespoons. But I'm just using coconut oil instead of olive oil. So we'll get that in our pan. We're gonna let that heat up for about 1 minute. Once this gets good and heated up and melted, we're gonna add our garlic and red pepper. Garlic, I'm using this dehydrated garlic. I need to get some more. I'm probably gonna use all this up in this dish here. I need to get me some more of this. I love this stuff. I do like using fresh garlic too, but since this is almost gone, I'm just going to use it up, and it really makes it really easy. So we're going to use a tablespoon of garlic, and we're going to use 1/4 tablespoon of crushed red pepper. So once this gets heated up, we'll get that in. Right, before that gets too hot, I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic and red pepper. So we'll just get this measured in this tablespoon here, and yeah, I had just enough left, right about that 1 tablespoon of the garlic. And then we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon not tablespoon, but teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Now, you could add more if you want. I mean, crushed red pepper is just gonna make your dish, it gives it a little spice. So the more you add, the spicier it's going to be. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna saute that a little bit. Let that get cooked for about a minute here. We just stir that around because you don't want that to burn or get stuck there on the bottom. So I'm just continuously stirring, letting that. I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. I'm going to turn it up to 300 because it's not really, I want it a little bit hotter here. So our garlic and red pepper has been cooking a little over a minute there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my shrimp. So we'll get that, and be careful adding that. You don't want that hot olive oil, or if you're using olive oil, to splash on you. And let's go down to about 280 there. So what we're gonna do here is we're just basically cooking our shrimp until it's cooked through. So that shouldn't take too long. Shrimp usually cooks pretty quickly. So you just turn it, you know, kind of get it good and coated with that olive oil, garlic, and crushed red pepper. So the shrimp, if you see, before you cook it, it's like kind of a white, dark color. As you cook it, the shrimp is going to kind of get more of a pink or peachy color. You definitely want to make sure you cook seafood all the way through. But you don't want to overcook it, because if you overcook it, it's going to be rubbery. So you just kind of got to watch it. But you want it cooked all the way through with kind of that nice pinky, peachy color. Now, this is not done yet. It's still cooking, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to season it with some salt and pepper. And you can just salt and pepper it to taste. A little salt and pepper there just to give it some flavor, because we're also gonna salt and pepper our zucchini noodles once we cook those. And we're gonna continue just stirring and getting this nice and coated with that coconut oil, the garlic, the red crushed pepper. So our shrimp is just about done, and you can see it's a really nice color. I just kind of move the pan back and forth just to kind of get the oil coated on them. But that looks really good. These are done. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just turn the new wave off here for a moment. And we're going to take all the shrimp out of the pan and just transfer them into a bowl. And you want to use a slotted spoon, or if you see my spoon has a hole in it there, because you want to leave a lot of the juice or the oil in the pan. So let's get all our shrimp out of here and we'll go on to our next step. All right, we've got all our shrimp out. We're going to turn our new wave back on to medium heat. And we still have, if you can see, we've got the coconut oil still in there with some garlic and red crushed pepper. All the seasoning, salt and pepper is still in that oil, and that's what you want. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our chicken broth, and we're gonna add our lemon juice. And I use a half a lemon, which is usually always enough for this dish. And I've got a little couple seeds that I didn't get out, so we'll have to fish those out. But you want to squeeze that as much as possible, get all that nice lemon juice out. And let's get these few seeds. That's the one thing with lemon, I always have a trouble. I never usually get all of them out when I cut it. I try to, but inevitably there's always a couple stragglers. All right, so we've got that out. Now, what we're doing is basically we're just sauteing the chicken broth, the lemon juice with the oil that we already had in the pan. So we're just gonna saute that, let that heat up for about 2 minutes. And as that's heating up, I'm gonna take my zucchini noodles here, and I think I've told y'all this in my Alfredo video, but I don't like to keep them in long strands because they're pretty long in the spiral. You see that? So I'm basically just gonna cut them up a little bit just to have some smaller noodles. We don't like them real long. So I just run my knife through just to kind of get them chopped up. You see the difference now. They're not so long, a little bit more manageable to cook with and to eat. And if you see there's a couple big chunks of zucchini, that's just what's left that couldn't fit through the spiral. So instead of throwing that out and wasting it, you don't want to waste it because it's still good, I just cut it up into some little chunks to cook in with the noodles as well. All right, so that's looking pretty good there. So I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm gonna add my zucchini into our juice mixture here. Get all that in there. And I'm a little messy when I cook sometimes, so all right. So once you've got that in there, your zucchini noodles in the liquid mixture, you're just gonna toss and cook that until your zucchini is to the density that you want. If you want it, you know, a little more smushy, you're gonna cook it a little longer. If you like it a little tougher or harder, then you won't cook it as long. But you know, you wanna heat it up, get it cooked. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit. And basically I'm just going to continue to stir this around, let that soak up all that yummy juice that was in the bottom of the pan. And I will link the recipe I'm using below, so if y'all want to take a look at that. Like I said, I did find it on Pinterest, but it's a really good recipe and it's very, very tasty. So let's just finish cooking up our noodles here. And actually also I'm going to go ahead and put a little salt and pepper on my noodles as well. I know there was a little bit in the liquid mixture from when we cooked our shrimp, but sometimes that's not enough to get on your zucchini noodles, and you know, we like it a little bit more seasoned. So I just added a little more salt and pepper there. So my zucchini's been cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes, and it's pretty much to the consistency that we like. We don't like it real mushy, but we don't like it real hard either. Zucchini, I've found, seems to cook pretty quickly. So once we've got that to the consistency we want, I'm gonna go ahead and add my shrimp back in with the noodles. And then we're just gonna toss that, get that mixed in, and getting everything heated through, because your shrimp may have cooled off from sitting. So I usually, you know, kind of toss it, get it mixed in for about a minute. That's really all as long as it really takes to get everything mixed in and heated through. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my new wave off. And that's what it looks like. Look at that. That looks yummy and smells delicious too. So we're just gonna get this plated up, and I use bowls just because there is some liquid that you're gonna want. You know, if you use a plate, it's going to probably spill off the edge. So we're just gonna get this plated up in our bowls. And with this recipe, when I make it, it's usually, as much as I make, we eat the entire thing in one sitting for dinner. I mean, it makes quite a bit. And honestly, I'm not really sure on how many servings technically this is. You can look at it in the recipe, I'm sure it says. But I don't feel that this would be good leftover. I just feel like the zucchini would get soggy. So I make it enough to where it's about a portion, a good size portion for each of us, so we can finish it in one sitting. So if you see there's some juice in there, so I just take that and I'm basically just gonna pour that over. There we go. And the only thing we need to finish this off is our parsley. We're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of parsley on top, make it look pretty. And there we have it. We have our skinny shrimp scampi with zucchini noodles. So if y'all have any questions on this recipe, you can always email me, leave some messages in the comments, find us on Facebook. But again, I will leave the recipe below. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much as always for watching and subscribing. We'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.